Hello, thanks so much for coming on the Vantage Point podcast. Yeah, I've wanted to get you on for a while because you seem to have found like this sort of revamped dedication to your fitness journey, and I wanted to sort of
Yeah,
get in your mind a little bit about that. What was it that prompted this sort of restart of your fitness journey, and how's that restart going so far?
I went through a breakup, so that was quite a big thing. And then
That'll do it.
I've changed. Yeah, yeah, quite a big motivation for a lot of people. Moving house, new job, everything started falling into place again after coming out of bit quite like a bad point with my mental health. And I knew that I needed to start taking care of myself again because previously I lost about 12 kilos after
Wow.
putting on weight during lockdown. Yeah. And I'd put on quite a lot of the weight back on. So slowly chipping away at that again now.
Sounds like you found like a new routine, and when
Yeah.
other things in your life start to align like that, um, it can make everything seem a bit more simple. And then there's something that you think you build up to be this like monumental task, like going to the gym, suddenly becomes a lot easier because you've not got these other distractions kind of holding you back or weighing you
Yeah,
down, maybe.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. And you find yourself in a new groove with work and your personal life, and especially with it being summer now as well. Like that's quite a
Yeah.
big motivating factor for most people, to be honest, because it's lighter out as well for much longer.
Yeah, that's it. And you're going to be spending more time at the beach, and especially as a
Hmm.
trainer, you want to show all the training you've done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. Show off the hard-earned gains.
Do you have like a sort of sporty background? Did you do a lot of sports to begin
Oh,
with, or did you get into training later?
yeah. So, like, ever since I was a little kid, always into sport, football, cricket. And then when I went to secondary school, netball, hockey, athletics, literally anything and everything. I just threw myself into it. And one of the things I've started recently is hockey again.
Right.
So just kind of igniting an old passion. But yeah, and then when I was about 16, I started going to the gym with my boyfriend at the time and just kind of formed a passion for it since then. So anyone who knew me from when I was younger, I'm not surprised that I'm a personal trainer in the slightest.
I was very briefly a coach on the school hockey team, field hockey.
Oh right,
Um,
yeah.
I wasn't good, but I was the best of like the very small group of people that were doing field hockey in my school at the time. Um, what would you say has been like the hardest challenge then? Because if you already had this kind of sporty background, I assume you're pretty familiar with most exercises going into the gym, or is that not
Yeah.
the case? What's been the hardest challenge you've faced on your fitness journey so far?
Probably weight gain, to be honest, because I was always
Right.
really small and petite when I was younger. And then I think a big thing that not just myself, but a lot of people struggle with is the transition from being a child to a teenager to an adult after you've gone through puberty and then you're a full grown adult. Your body changes entirely. And obviously, going from being a teenager where you're essentially forced to do exercise a lot during school. Once you leave
Yeah.
school, that's it. You like if you don't make yourself go, you don't go. And yeah, it was the weight gain that came with it, to be honest. It was very unfamiliar and uncomfortable as well, I'd say.
Yeah, I've been there as well. I think you get as a teenager and a young in your early 20s, like you kind of just rely on you can stay skinny, like no matter what you
Mm-hmm.
do. And I got into powerlifting. I started really upping my calories, thinking, oh, this is great. I'm getting really strong. I can lift so much weight. I was training hard as well, so I thought there's no chance I'm going to get fat, right? But and then I got really fat,
Yeah.
and it really messed with my head because I'm like I'm still training really hard, but I've not been really watching what I'm eating. And it comes to lockdown time a few years back, and I go into lockdown. Suddenly, I can't use a gym, and I'm the fattest I've ever been. I'm like, okay, time to really look at this and actually
Yeah.
really think about what I'm putting in my body, like how much cardio and other types of fitness I'm doing as well.
A lot of people experience the very same thing, whereas I'm not really a workout from home person. It has to be the environment for me, which is quite a big thing. So trying to work out from home was impossible. I did have a coach briefly, and yeah, same again. Like it just was not clicking for me in the slightest. It wasn't until the gyms opened again that suddenly felt like I had a grasp on my life again and how I could look in my training.
Tell me about how your sort of maybe revamped passion for training has translated into you being able to provide more value for the people you train.
Definitely. In comparison to some PTs I know of and see on Instagram, you obviously get a lot of the fitness influencer types who've just kind of fallen into it because I saw it happen a lot during lockdown where people making
Oh yeah.
fitness accounts as something to do, and then all of a sudden the personal trainers. But for me, having that weight gain, and also I'm quite open about suffering with mental health issues. Like in my one of my recent posts said that I'm on antidepressants. Um and a lot more people are on them than you'd realize, to be honest, but people think it's quite taboo to speak about. But I think because I'm so open, it does definitely help. And I can see a lot more from my clients' perspective when they're struggling with their nutrition to get into a groove with training and just to kind of knock bad habits and rebuild new ones. I think I can gain a lot more trust from them in that sense because I've been
Yeah.
in their shoes before.
Yeah, you can empathize with them in a way that maybe people who, maybe already had just had the athletic body, they've never been through some of those hardships. They've never been
Mm.
through maybe some of the mental health hardships either. Then they just decide, oh, I might become a trainer because I already look the part and just kind of fit in.
Yeah,
And they can't actually help people as much as they probably think they can.
no, definitely not. I think it's one of those where you have to walk the walk to talk the talk. Definitely. You
Oh yeah.
can't just happen to become somebody like I find it quite mad to be honest, because you are influencing somebody's life and it goes beyond just the way they exercise as well. That's what I think a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of a lifestyle, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
one thing that put me off, I'm soon to become a personal trainer as well.
Oh,
I've
well
been putting
done.
my
Yeah.
little business plans together, and
Yeah, nice.
it's a pretty crazy space. But the thing that put me off getting into it for a while, I did my level 2 ages ago, so I've been doing classes and stuff. Basically, you know the drill. But
Yeah.
the thing that put me off going for my level 3 and actually going for being a PT was it felt like there's so much competition, and the people you would be competing against might not actually be better than you or know more than you or spent more time in the gym than you. They might just look a certain way or take
Mm-hmm.
certain things to look that way, and kind of blag their way in. And it's a bit of an unlevel playing field because new people, they won't know if you're talking sense or if you're not. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
for a new person to
Yeah.
tell if this person knows what they're talking about or if they just look the part.
Yeah, it's like imposter syndrome in a
Mm.
way, which I totally get. That's exactly how I felt when I first started. And I'm about a year and a half in now. And a lot of those feelings have passed. So I promise they will pass eventually. But it does come with time as well. I used to think like, oh, I don't look the part. I put on all this weight. I don't look after myself. How some of these people look. Like I'm supposed to be telling people what to do with their lives so they can enjoy their life more. How am I supposed to be the one telling them what to do if I can't do it? But as I started taking on clients and started being a PT and turning it more into a career than just doing a qualification to have a qualification, I realized that you don't always have to look the part to know what you're doing. But in competition wise, I completely get it. Like you're not going to go to somebody who's obese per se and think,
No.
oh yeah, you know what, you're the personal trainer for me.
Yeah, I think actually it gives you more credit that you've put weight on and you knew then how to lose it than someone who's
Yeah,
just always been in good shape. Like I would respect that way more, even as someone who knew nothing about the gym. Um, surely that's a good thing for people to see and
yeah,
a motivational thing.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, like when I first have clients, because I've had a range of different clients. Like I've had 20-year-olds. I've had someone who's in his 70s, a lot of menopausal women as well. There's such a range, but one common goal that they all have is usually to lose weight. And one of the things I do is always show them my before and after pictures. So
Oh, right.
that I can show them like, oh, I know how you feel and I know how to get you to the point that you want to get.
That visual hits home, doesn't it? With anyone, you can translate that to anyone from any background. They can see that somewhere along the line that took some hard work and that took some actual dedication and application of the knowledge that you obviously have. I've got a bit of a guilty admission here that I did also get you on my podcast to kind of pick your brains about the whole PT side of things, because I'm going to go into it myself soon.
Yeah.
One thing I was wondering, I think a lot of people would wonder who are outside of this bubble as well. You offer online coaching.
hmm
Some people might not know what online coaching is. And I was wondering, for the benefit of the listeners, for the benefit of me, how do you run the online coaching side of things? And do you ever find it hard to connect with people who aren't in the same room as you?
Yeah, with one-to-one personal training, doing it on the gym floor, you definitely get to know your clients a lot better. There's a lot more gossiping and you become professional friends in a way, whereas you don't quite get the same with your online coaching. But with the online coaching, you're a bit more there consistently throughout the day. There's a lot more frequency to it. Whereas with some of my clients before, I'd see them the once or twice a week, and that would be it. And they wouldn't really want anything more to do other than that. That's their fill. But with online coaching, people have the opportunity to speak to you daily. The app that I use, which is a very popular online coaching app, Trainerize. It's quite good because it sends automated messages daily after workouts, after they do their tasks. I've tried a lot of different online coaching platforms and they've all been a bit rubbish in comparison to that one. So if you're looking into it, definitely go for Trainerize.
Oh,
But
interesting.
it's just it's definitely user friendly for the consumer as well. So I'm recently starting with an online coach again myself. I've had a couple of online coaches in the past. When I've used Trainerize, I've been able to see it from my client perspective as well, where the user interface for the exercises and putting in their meals and all the other habits is so much better. I also create like educational packs for my clients. So just a bit of information about macros and hitting your calorie targets and how it all comes together. Because one of the big reasons why I gained weight during lockdown was because I didn't understand it in the slightest. I did A-level
A lot to
P,
get
I
your head
did
around.
GCSE P, yeah, and you know what? It barely even touched on it. So
Right.
I think from a client point of view, it's easier to stick to it if you actually understand what you're doing as well.
I get from that what you're saying is that the main benefit of online coaching is probably the accountability side of it. That
Mm-hmm.
it can be really, really part of your life in a way that, because people don't make time, like, do they? People are quite lazy,
No.
especially people just getting into their fitness journey. You really have to hold these people accountable, and that's what really they're paying you to do is transform their lifestyle. And the only way you can actually do that is by being on their back. And if an app can help you do that, then yeah, I'm all for that.
There's been times where I've I've finished work late and I'll be messaging them at like 11, 12 at night, checking in, knowing that by the morning they'll get back to me. But also it's going to be one of the first messages they see when they wake up as well. So
That's nice.
you can bug them a lot. You can bug them a lot more with online coaching. Definitely almost daily messaging with a lot of clients, which is good because I want them to feel like they can speak to me as much as they want as well.
Do you ever find that it sort of encroaches a little bit into your personal life? Do you ever find like you just don't get time for yourself?
When I first started doing personal training in general, it was like I always had homework looming over my head. I was like, oh, I've got so much I need to do. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. But I've learned to set my boundaries a lot more now, because when I first started doing the personal training, especially when I was doing one-to-ones, I was also working another job. So I ended up doing 14-hour days most days.
Jeez.
So at that point, yeah, it did. It was quite a big learning curve to learn to set my boundaries and actually stick to them.
Yeah, I think I would have to do that if I'm thinking of going into to doing this sort of thing. I'd have to be like, right, after this time, I'm not messaging anyone. This time I
Yeah,
will message everyone. You know? So
yeah,
obviously,
definitely.
personal training, it can be not always, but it can be quite lucrative. But aside from the money side of things, like what is it about training people and helping people? Because obviously this is something you've sort of always had an idea that you wanted to do.
Hmm.
What is it about like helping people reach their goals? Like, what do you get out of that?
It's just really rewarding in like
How
every
so?
cheesy way possible. You get to, so obviously, like I was saying earlier, I create the educational packs for my clients because they don't know any better and I didn't know any better, but I've invested a lot of my time into learning about all these different factors that you can change about your lifestyle. And it's nice to kind of reap the rewards from all that hard work I put into learning, but also being able to see my clients put it into their life and utilize it and actually like start being happy and a lot more confident and feeling like they've taken control of their lives again. You want everyone to be happy. I don't wish ill on anyone. It's just one of those things. It's
Yeah.
incredibly rewarding. Like I've had a client who she needed to be a certain weight to get into the police, and we worked really hard to get her to the point where she needed to be. And this change of job was going to be life changing almost. It benefited her and her children massively. It propelled her in the right direction for the career she wanted to do, and putting in those months of work got her to where she needed to be. So it was really
Well,
rewarding to see like the butterfly effect from that essentially. And to
yeah,
be
it must be
part of that
so,
was quite special.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be so
Yeah,
satisfying to
definitely.
be the catalyst for a journey like that,
Hmm.
and then to see what happens at the end of it, like see them get to where
Yeah.
they said they wanted to get to at the start. Tell me then about a personal goal that you've got right now. It can be a training goal, it can be a sort of life goal. What's a goal you've got?
Probably continue on a bit of a weight loss journey and building muscle and just becoming overall strong. Um, Definitely want to focus on my fitness levels, like my cardiovascular health. Spent quite a few years just kind of smashing the weights back, um, just focusing on the way I look, and also neglected my like actual health a little bit. As I've gotten older, family members have gotten sick. Like my mum's had cancer and stuff, and it's just essentially one of those parts of life. But also, I know I'm at the point now, being 22, where I, in like 20, 40, 60 years, if I don't put in the work now, then I'm going to regret it. If I end up becoming sick, I'll just always think back like, oh, why don't I take care of myself? Why don't I do this? Why don't I do this? Like osteoporosis is something that runs in my family, and weightlifting can be a massive benefit to avoiding that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
just
absolutely.
focusing on fitness as well. That's
Yeah.
the main goal right now.
I'm very much in the same place. Like I think it's it almost hurts to see like some of my friends from school or people who I knew who they were like the sporty ones at school and they've just let it go. And it's like, geez, unless you
Hmm.
get back into it now, you're not going to be healthy when you're 60 plus. Even 40 plus. Some of them look like old people already. And the more you do weight training and build your strength and build your heart health even now, like that's going to translate so much into like your later life because it's at some point you're going to reach a point where there's not a lot you can do about it. There's not a lot
Yeah,
you can kind of
exactly.
turn back the clock. But now, like when we're in our 20s, it's like it's the prime time to really get it together and build a sort of just basically extend your 20s. That's what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, basically you want to get to a point where you've got children and you want to be around for those children, and you want to be able to actually pick them up and do all the things that parents do and live your life properly without worrying that, bad back at 45, could barely walk down the stairs. It's
Yeah,
little
yeah,
things
no one
like
wants that.
that. No, exactly. Or you've hit type 2 diabetes because you just indulge just a little bit too much rather than moderating it.
We've talked a little bit about like mental health side of things. How important do you think mindset is in the context of a regular gym routine?
I think a lot of it is mindset. Your body is perfectly capable of doing a lot of these things. It's your mindset around it, whether you're not knowledgeable enough or you don't care enough. It's the mental discipline to actually
Mm.
get up, get out, go to the gym, do the workout. Not every workout's going to be a good one or the best one, but even being able to get up, go to the gym, do 10 minutes on the treadmill and think, you know what, no, today's not the day. You at least tried. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, I think
There's just
going
that
into a
sense,
workout,
yeah, just a
yeah,
sense of accomplishment of something.
yeah, I think going into a workout with the right mindset, even if it turns out, like you say, you do 10 minutes on a treadmill and it's like, right, today's not the day, but at least you
Yeah.
go in with a positive mindset to start with. Let's see how much I can get out of this. Whereas a lot of people, they'll turn up because they feel like they have to, because they feel like it's a chore that they have to get done.
Hmm.
And that's the wrong mindset going in. You want to go in thinking, what can I get out of this hour that I've dedicated to the gym? And if it doesn't work out in the first 10 minutes, that's fine. Just make sure you give it a good
Yeah.
go before you give up on it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big, like, going into my clients' sessions as well. I try and do things that they actually enjoy. Like you said, some people just find it a chore and they just force themselves to go. And, you know, that's going to ruin your mindset towards exercise because you think, oh, well, I'm just doing it because I have to. I don't enjoy it in the slightest. It should be something enjoyable. So, say if somebody wants to run on the treadmill for an hour, or if they want to lift weights for an hour, I think encouraging any type of exercise is better than just feeling like you have to stick to one thing, which is something I see quite a lot on Instagram. Um, and just the fitness influencer world where it's, oh, you need to do weights, or like the trends that come and go. Oh, you should be doing Pilates. Oh, I do this on the Stairmaster. Just do what you actually enjoy. Stop following influencer workouts.
That's quite funny because I actually had that as like the last thing I was going to ask you was what do you think about like some of these like Instagram fitness gurus who do like some of the craziest stuff, and they'll make like a TikTok, no, sorry, Instagram reel, and it'll be
Hmm.
like 15 mental exercises back to back, no rest, all fast cuts with the camera. And it's like they're showing this to like probably beginners. What do you think about
Hmm.
people who see this sort of thing and they go in the gym thinking, right, that's what I've got to be like straight away? Do you think that's kind of
Oh,
damaging? Do you think it's
oh,
unrealistic,
definitely,
setting
yeah.
unrealistic standards of where people should be at?
Oh, definitely. I used to be so heavily influenced by it because I've always kind of
Same.
immersed myself in that world since about 14, 15. And, I just remember going to the gym and always doing these Instagram workouts that I'd see. And I'd spend like 15 minutes trying to find workouts. And it was like abs in 15 or like get abs in 2 weeks.
Uh,
And yeah, it's quite damaging because you don't really know any better. And with TikTok, especially being a bit more targeted to younger people as well, it's worrying at the same time that people will just do anything for likes and views and because it gives them money or just satisfaction that people are watching it when really it's just quite damaging.
yeah, or just attention, isn't it? Yeah, like
So fake.
you'll see these videos. It's like, oh, 5 hacks to lose belly fat, and it's like you cannot spot reduce belly fat. But the amount of
Hmm.
times I see videos saying, "Here's how to get visible abs. Here's how to this and that," and It's
Yeah.
all unattainable things where it looks like that should do that. Like they'll be doing 100 crunches upside down and stuff. And it's like, just do this every day. And that's how you get a six pack. It's
Yeah.
not fashionable to say, have a balanced diet. It's not fashionable to say, intake fewer calories than you're burning essentially, even though that's the obvious thing.
Yeah, and it's not even just the younger generation that get influenced by it as well. I've had a lot of my older lady clients come up to me and they're like, "Oh, like I really want to just lose weight around like my stomach." And I'm like, "You can't do that." Like, "Oh, I've seen these workouts and this person did it." And I'm like, I can guarantee
Mm.
you they're lying. The science says no. And it's
Yeah.
it's quite sad to see because you have to reverse a lot of the damage that's been done with their outlook on how to train and how they should view themselves, especially with a lot
Yeah.
of these women having had children as well. Like that's quite damaging to them because your body changes so much during that time. And you're watching all these really thin influencers who have got abs and they're probably 23 max. It's like, yeah, of course they look like they're in the prime of their lives because they are. And it's not because they've been working out for as long as they have. They're either genetically blessed, taking things they probably shouldn't, or it's just edited as well because it's so easy to edit videos now as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like that. Do you remember that guy with the jaw widening thing? He
Yeah.
went everywhere viral, and it was like he says if you chew this thing, it makes your jaw wider. But he'd be doing it,
Yeah.
and you'd see the wall get wider behind him. It's like, but people are still falling for it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. And it's as time's going by as well, it's becoming a lot more convincing, especially with everything AI that's coming out as well.
There's going to be an AI generated fitness influencer soon that's just got the perfect body, has a perfect voice, has all the right captions on the screen and everything. And it's like, what are you going to do about it? People are going to believe it.
Oh, 100%. And then yeah, it's quite sad, really. But what can you do at the same time? It's just one of those where if you become a PT or an influencer, you just have to stay true to your morals essentially and keep promoting the right things.
Obviously, people are tempted to compare themselves to either what they see online or even just their friends or other people at the gym. It's easy to say don't compare yourself to others, but what would you swap that comparison for? Like, how would you think about it in a different way?
I'm still guilty of comparing, even though
Oh,
I
really?
try and yeah, like it's just I think it's just very much human nature to keep comparing. I think
Yeah.
if you are going to do it, you need to be able to pick out all the toxic stuff you're comparing yourself to. Now, when I compare, um, I try and think of it more as like, oh, they're eating these meals, which is probably why they're looking a bit better. But also with the knowledge I've got, I know they're including the protein, including the fats, including the carbs. Like that's a good meal. And maybe if I started eating a bit more like that, then I could look a bit more how I want to look because my appearance, well, I want my appearance to look similar to theirs. I don't directly compare and wish like, oh, I wish I looked exactly like them. It's more so the
Yeah. Yeah.
lifestyle of comparison.
Yeah, that's
And
it. That's
that's a
interesting.
yeah, it's a lot easier to change your lifestyle than it is to change your looks in that sense, unless you're obviously going to go off and get plastic surgery. Because
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of
which
the
is all
people,
still an option. Still an
yeah,
option.
yeah, yeah, you do you, but it's yeah, I think it's easier to if you go in to compare, at least compare your lifestyle in a way. If you're
Yeah.
sat there feeling rubbish about yourself, but you've just eaten a load of junk food, and you're sat there looking at these influencers who are drinking their smoothies and eating their vegetables, you won't have also got yourself to blame in
That's
a
true. It's
slight
true.
way
Be
as well.
accountable.
Yeah. When you start comparing lifestyles and you start adopting these habits, you slowly see the benefits of why they were doing that in the first place. And you eventually become that person that you were so quick to compare yourself to, but it's actually benefiting your life as well.
It's interesting what you're saying there about comparing lifestyle rather than comparing physical attributes. And I think that's it. People get so hung up on looking a certain way, whereas what they should be thinking about is feeling a certain way, and also then comparing yourself to your previous self. How can I do better, just a little bit better than what I was doing before? Now, Heledd, we're running out of time, unfortunately, so I'm going to finish it there. But thanks again so much for coming on.
No,
Yeah.
thank you for having me. Yeah.